Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here. Today I want to be talking about the upcoming press conference that Todd Howard is going to be having at Quakecon coming up the end of this week. And he's going to be having a Q&A session supposedly, and they're supposed to be going over some more of the details about Fallout 76. And today I want to talk to you about my top 5 biggest things that I would like to hear about, some things I need clarified, and I'm sure some of these things are stuff that you guys want to hear about as well. So let's just get right into it. So the first thing, and I think the thing that a lot of people also are going to be saying that they want to know more about, is the player versus player aspect of the game and how those type of interactions are going to go on. I don't think it's any secret that this is what has a lot of the community, you know, sort of concerned which way it's going to go. And what I'm seeing more and more as we learn about the systems in place is I see a lot of people are starting to be concerned on both sides. People who want PvP and also people who don't want PvP. Believe it or not, originally it was just, you saw a lot of people like, I don't want this in my game, but a lot of people now are saying, well, it sounds like they're putting a lot of restrictions on people who want PvP. There's not necessarily going to be any benefits to killing people, is what they're trying to make it say. It sounds more like it's going to be detrimental to you if you want to play that way, although Bethesda has also said that they want people to play as raiders. But a lot of what they're saying is now started, the people who wanted to play that way are now starting to be concerned that they're not actually going to make it worthwhile for them to play in that manner. So now you're not just hearing from people who are saying, oh, I don't want to have people griefing me, or I don't necessarily want to be getting into a gunfight with a real player in Fallout. So now it's not just those people. Now it's also people who did want that, who did want to play as a raider, also expressing concern, saying, well, it sounds like you're going to be just putting a bullseye over my head if I try to do this, and it also sounds like I'm not going to be maybe able to loot bodies, I'm not going to get any reward from killing anyone, so what's the point of me doing that? And I understand it's a delicate balance because they don't want to scare away that single player base that Bethesda has grown to cultivate over the years. And now what are they going to do with these PvP players who thought that it was an interesting idea? Now you're not incentivizing it. It's kind of a lose-lose situation the way I'm seeing it now, the way I'm reading it, because it's starting to sound more and more like it's almost a worthless confrontation. They say that they want to be tension involved, but is there really going to be tension if there's no, if people aren't being incentivized to do it and they're also being actively decentivized to do it? Then they're not going to do it unless they're straight up trolling, straight up griefing people, which is this thing that they say that they don't want. But if people who don't care about the disincentives, then they will still be griefing and trolling. So I don't think it's going to be working the way that they think it's going to be. They keep saying that they have systems in place. We have no details on that. They keep saying, they talk about issuing challenges, and the way I see it is that's just going to mean if someone kills you, the way you issue a challenge is, do I go back to that area or not? It's not. It doesn't seem like there's really an organized opt-in, opt-out system, especially since both Todd and Pete have both said that there is no opt-out of PvP. So based on everything I'm saying, when they say issuing a challenge, I don't think that's a hard and fast system. I think that's just going to be like, okay, those guys killed me over there, I'm going to try to stay away from them. That's what I think he means by issuing a challenge, based on all the ancillary stuff that he says along with that. So enough of that. Let's move on to the next one, but I think that is the primary thing that they need to be most focused on. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is trading and inventory systems, and how is that all going to work when the traders you have are going to be other players? How is that going to work? And they say that they want to have an economy sort of based around maybe helping people. Maybe you want to be a mercenary and say, hey, I will help you beat this area here, I can help you take on this challenge over here if you pay me caps. Well, I don't know how many of you have ever been involved in an online economy where you're trading that game's currency for a service per se. A lot of times people get scammed. There's a lot of price gouging that goes on. Sometimes it does work out, but a lot of times it's just sort of, you know, real hit or miss whether or not you're going to be successful, people saying, hey, give me this amount of gold, or in this case, in Fallout, it's going to be caps, give me X amount of caps, and I will go help you beat this boss. I will go help you take out this group of guys. Well, how's that going to work? What if you perform the service and then the person doesn't give you the caps? How are you gonna work that out? What if the person gives you the caps and then you run away or log out? Then that person is screwed. I've seen this sort of thing happen before in Elder Scrolls Online. For example, if you want someone to bite you who is a werewolf, so you can also turn into a werewolf. I see that a lot where people will scam other people, and then you I don't know, you report them. I don't know. You really don't have much recourse if they just take your money and log off. What are you really going to do? And that can happen. So unless they have safeguards in place for that, I don't see exactly how that aspect of the economy that they want is going to work. And the other aspect is just basic trading. Just, okay, I have all this junk that I want to get rid of. I got to go unload it. Where do I unload it? Can I take it to anyone? Is there really going to be people on these small servers? There's only going to be 24 to 32 people is what they've said. So I have to rely on that small group of people to sell whatever junk I have. How's that going to work? Am I going to have to rely on those people to want the crap that I have? Or is it just going to be like, okay, I want to sell you this, give me some caps? I don't know how that's going to work. Is the loot going to be the same as in previous games where I'm going to be just picking up good stuff like gear? Or is there also going to be stuff like, bowling balls and buckets and plates laying around that I'm also going to be, maybe picking up and saying, hey, I want to unload this for a couple caps. Well, who's going to want to buy that? Is that sort of economy? Is that just totally gone? You can't just pick up any random junk and sell it, because who's really going to want it? And the other thing is, if you want to buy something, how do you know who has what items? Is there going to be some sort of system in place where people can market their goods? Is there going to be some sort of listing like, oh, the people in this lobby have X items for sale? Is there going to be sort of like a guild system in place? Once again, going back to like ESO, where you can just go up to a vendor that maybe has a master list of a bunch of different people that are maybe part of a group, and they have a sort of a trade depot set up. They have said that we can set up robot vendors in the game. Is that how it's going to work? Is that going to be for people just on the server? Is that going to be network-wide for everyone? How is this all going to work? I'd like a little bit more clarification on stuff like that as well. The next thing I think we need to know about, number 3 on my list, is the special system. How are all the different stat increases going to play out when we're putting in our special points? What do we need to know about? It'd be nice if they went over some of that stuff ahead of time, so maybe people could start theory crafting builds. I know that that's a thing that people really like to do, and since we don't really know too much about the perk system and how everything's going to work out, we just have a lot of speculation. We've only seen a few clips. We really don't have any concrete information about that very much at all. So there's just a couple things I was thinking of, like, for example, in previous games, the higher your intelligence was, the more points you'd get to level up sometimes, or the more XP you'd get in some games. It's a little bit different system based on which Fallout game you're playing, but how's it going to work this time? If you're just going to be drawing one perk card per level or something, that's some of the speculation that's going along, that you'll be able to pick one card per level. Well, is intelligence not going to be really worthwhile anymore? And if speech checks aren't going to be a thing, because I don't see how they really could be with regular players involved, how are you going to have an intelligence speech check? That's not really going to work. So is it really going to pay off at all to have high intelligence? How's it going to work out? And then people have brought up the obvious stuff like charisma. What are you guys going to be doing with charisma to make it worthwhile for people to put points into that? Again, most of what we have is just speculation. It'd be nice to get some concrete answers on that. And then what about luck? Is luck going to be totally useless, or is that going to be what determines what sort of drops we get? I would imagine that's how it's going to tie in. And if that's the case, is everyone just going to be wanting to run a luck meta where everyone has 10 lucks just so they can get the best loot drops? Is everyone going to be trying to go do high level stuff with a weak character that just has a high luck skill that maybe doesn't have a lot of endurance or something like that. Maybe they can't really, withstand a sort of quote unquote raid that you might have, but they want that luck high so that maybe they can get the good drop. Is that how it's going to work? We don't really know. Stuff like that. Is agility going to matter at all? Because people who maybe relied on VATs in previous games, well, agility is not going to matter so much if you don't need the points to put into AP, because you're not going to be using VATs so much in a real-time system, I would imagine. So how is this all going to work out? I'm sure strength and endurance will still make sense for those. You can carry stuff and how much health you have. I'm sure they can do that, but are they also going to have to restrict the endurance stat? Is people with really high endurance, are you really going to want them to have that much more health than someone with weak endurance? Because how's that going to work if you get into a firefight? We don't really need specifics, but a little bit of something to go on when it comes to the special system would be nice to know about, because really all we've seen is just a few clips here and there that a lot of people have been doing some speculation on. And so if we get some more concrete answers on that, that would be great. The fourth thing on my list that I'd like to know about is exactly what are we going to be able to do with bases. So I talked earlier about being able to set up vendors to sell stuff. Are you going to be able to have people just come into your base and do that? Because they've also said that you can damage people's bases. So how are you going to interact? How are you going to know if it's friendly or not? If you have defenses set up, how do you know if you're trying to sell stuff? How do you know if people are enemies or friends before they come in? Is there going to be any way of knowing? Or are they just going to be able to open fire once they're already in the middle of your camp, maybe past your defenses? Because we already know that they can damage bases. That's already been something that they've said you can do. You can damage other people's bases. So I just like a little bit. How's that all going to work out? Are people in your group going to be able to use your crafting stations? Are they going to be able to sell? Are you going to be able to have like a conglomeration of friends? Are you going to be able to have sort of like a clan or a guild where you can get together and do stuff? Are you going to be able to merge your bases together into one master blueprint sort of thing? Or is it just going to be, okay, my camp's here, your camp's there, his is there, hers is there, and everyone just set them up in a circle, and that's going to be the base? How is this all going to work? They could give us a little bit more clarification on that, because that's something else that they've been kind of vague, kind of hazy on. I'd like some more details there. And for me, the fifth thing, and this is something that I think is pretty big that most people aren't really talking about. This is one thing that I haven't really heard anyone really talking about, and that is loot drops. How are loot drops going to work in this game? Is it going to be a tiered system based on levels? Is it going to be the classic sort of MMO or RPG type thing where you start out getting white, green, blue, purple, gold gear? Is it going to be a tiered system like that? Are we going to be relying purely on RNG? Is there going to be unique weapons out that are going to be tied to specific missions? Are there going to be specific enemies that only drop certain things? Is it going to be tied to level, or is it going to be tied to zone? What's it going to be? Am I going to be able to just buy gear? Is the gear going to be leveled? So say if I'm level 10, can I use something that my level 40 friend has crafted for me that is a level 40 weapon? Is that how it's going to work? I mean, it could. That's how it works in a lot of games. So that's what I'm saying. We don't really know about that. Again, everyone's just trying to break down stuff from the trailers, but they haven't really said anything too much about it. So that is something else that I'd really like to go over. Just basic, how's loot really going to work? The legendary system, they've made mention before that it's going to be implemented in that way to a degree. They haven't really gone into specifics though. So I'd just like to know, how is that all going to work? Is the only good drops going to be in those high level irradiated zones, or are you going to be able to get good drops elsewhere? Or is this going to turn into the way the Division launched in the Dark Zone, where the only thing that you could do to get the best gear was to go into the Dark Zone? That was the only way to do it at the start of the game, and that's something they had to pull back. Is Bethesda going to make the same mistake where they say the only way to get the best gear is to go into these irradiated zones, because that's only going to incentivize people to be nuking the map again and again as quickly as they can? So how is that all going to work? I'd like some answers on that as well. So those are the top 5 things that I'd like to hear Todd Howard talk about when he has this press session at Quakecon this upcoming Saturday. These are the sort of things that I want him to address. I don't want to hear any more talk of we have systems in place, we have systems in place, we have systems in place. I'd like to know what systems you're talking about. We are getting close to the launch, guys. We are about 3 months away, and we still don't really know too much. And for people saying, oh, they don't really want to reveal stuff right away, well, I'd like to remind you, we have had full gameplay reveals, extended cuts for a lot of games that don't even have release dates yet that are supposed to be coming out next year. So this is a game, Fallout 76, that's coming out in just a few months, and we don't really know too much about it at all in the big scheme of things, especially when we're talking about a game that is going to be such a huge departure from the standard series. So I know there's a lot of other questions that people have, you know, going all the way down to what radio stations are we going to be able to listen to, stuff like that. But these are the things that I think are most important. Once again, how are player versus player and player interactions going to work out? How is the trading going to work out? How is the special system going to play out? How is the perk system and all that? What is going on with the bases? How can we play with others? How can we damage other people's bases? How is the trading system going to work at your base, crafting and whatnot, all that. And the final thing, once again, was how is the loot drop system going to work out in Fallout 76? So I want to know, what questions do you have that maybe I didn't put in this video, or did I address everything that you want? Is this stuff that you also want to know about? Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Just a couple more days. Hopefully we'll have some answers to some of these questions. I will talk to you guys next time. I'm Coach Toolshed, and as always, keep it turned to 11.